He laughed, in front of everyone. We were at his parents' house for dinner, just casually talking about life when I mentioned I got a bonus at work. Nothing huge, just a little reward for a campaign I led. Then he said it. "Oh, her money? It's just play money. She works for fun." The whole table laughed. His mom smirked. His brother raised an eyebrow. I laughed too, but something in me cracked. It wasn't the first time he'd said something like that. Just the first time he said it out loud, with people around. People who apparently thought my career was some cute hobby. For 5 years, I had been contributing to every bill, every trip, every grocery run. But because I didn't make as much as him, my money wasn't real. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing his voice. Play money. He always handled the mortgage, the investments, the big stuff. Whenever I asked questions, I got vague answers like, "You don't need to stress about that stuff, babe." Or, "I've got it handled. Just focus on what you enjoy." I realized I had no idea what we actually owned, or if anything was even in my name. So I started paying attention. I opened a private savings account quietly. I stopped auto-transferring to the joint one. Every freelance check I got, I moved, little by little. 3 months later, I found the house. It was small, modern, had this wraparound porch I always dreamed of, and it was mine, fully under my name. No co-signer, no husband, no we. I didn't tell him right away. I waited. Then one night while we were watching TV, I handed him a small envelope. Inside was a copy of the deed. He looked confused. "What's this?" I smiled. "It's my new house. Bought it with my play money." Silence. He tried to laugh it off, said I was being dramatic, asked why I didn't tell him. And I just said, "Because I needed to know I could. Because you made me feel like I couldn't." He didn't have anything to say to that. Now, we're still married, but things are different. I manage my own finances. I speak up more. And when his family visits, we sit in my living room and they drink wine I paid for, and I don't laugh at their jokes anymore. Not because I'm angry, but because I don't need their approval. I have keys to something that's mine. And I'll never let anyone make me feel small for earning them again. We met the way a lot of people do, through mutual friends and way too many late-night texts. He was charming, funny, always in control. And back then, I liked that about him. He had a plan, a 5-year timeline, career goals, investments, everything calculated. And I had ambition too, but mine was quieter, steady. I worked in marketing, not flashy, but solid. When we moved in together, he naturally took over the finances. "I'm just better with numbers," he said. And honestly, I didn't mind at first. It felt like a team. I still paid my share. Half the rent, half the groceries, vacations, birthday dinners, everything. But over time, I started to notice something. Every financial decision went through him. Want to upgrade the couch? Ask him. Thinking of switching banks? Better check with him. And if I offered to split something big, he'd say, "Don't worry about it. Your money should be for fun things." Sounds sweet, right? It wasn't, because beneath those words was the constant message that my money didn't matter. He made twice what I did. That's true. But I worked just as hard. I built campaigns from scratch, pulled all-nighters, met impossible deadlines. Still, when we talked about our future, buying a house, saving for a kid, he always said, "I've got that covered." I started to feel like a guest in my own life, like I was playing house in his world, and I told myself it was okay. That love meant trusting someone, that letting go of control was part of being in a partnership. But deep down, I knew I was disappearing. I didn't want full control. I just wanted respect. I wanted my contribution to be seen as real. Instead, I kept hearing things like, "We'll talk about it later. You don't need to worry about that." It's not a big deal, but it was. Because money wasn't just money anymore. It was power, and I had quietly handed all of mine over. Until one dinner and one sentence changed everything. Looking back, it didn't happen all at once. There was no big fight, no dramatic, "you can't do this" moment. It was quieter than that, slower, smarter. It started with little comments. Like the time I tried to open a credit card in my name, just to build credit. He laughed and said, "Why do you need your own card? We already have mine." Then came the joint account. At first, it made sense. We were married, shared bills, shared life. But over time, I noticed something strange. All the bills were in his name, all the cards his. When I asked about putting one in my name, he smiled and said, "It's just easier this way, less to keep track of." Then, one day, I bought a small chair for my office, nothing fancy. I used my own money, and he said, "You didn't need that. These little purchases aren't real responsibilities anyway." That word, real. Suddenly, everything I did with my money was labeled extra, not important, not serious, not real. I offered to cover a repair on the car. No, don't worry about that, I've got it." I suggested we invest together. "That stuff's complicated, I'll handle it." It was always him handling it, and me waiting to be included. I told myself I was overthinking it, that I should be grateful he wanted to take care of things. But deep down, I felt it. Every time I asked a question and got a vague answer. Every time he brushed off my ideas. Every time he made me feel like my efforts didn't count. It chipped away at something I didn't even realize I was losing. My financial independence. It wasn't about the money, it was about control. And how easy it is to lose your voice when someone you love convinces you you don't need one. I used to think shared finances meant trust. But now I know it only works when both people are allowed to hold the pen. I didn't say anything that night, not after dinner, not when he asked if I was okay. I smiled. I said, "I'm just tired." And I was, but not in the way he thought. I laid awake in bed for hours, staring at the ceiling while his breathing grew slower beside me. And I couldn't stop replaying his words. "Her paycheck, it's just play money," if it didn't matter. Why was he so obsessed with controlling it? That question haunted me, so I started paying attention, not to what he said, but to what he did. Every bill was in his name, every card, even the Netflix account. I wasn't just included, I was invisible. When we filed taxes, he handled it. When we got raises, he adjusted our budget. When I asked questions, I got generic answers. "It's all taken care of. Don't worry, you don't need to get into all that." And I believed him, because I wanted to. Because it was easier than admitting what I already knew. I had no idea what we owned, no idea what was mine, if anything. If we split tomorrow, I'd walk away with clothes, a laptop, and maybe a half-used candle. That's when the voice in my head shifted. Not angry, not loud, just clear. "You need your own." So I opened a new account, quietly. No joint access, no conversations, just me. I started small, $20 here, 50 there, freelance checks, cash birthday gifts, little deposits that felt like a secret handshake with my future self. And every time I moved money into that account, I felt something rebuild inside me. Something he'd been quietly taking piece by piece. Independence doesn't leave with a slam of a door. Sometimes it just erodes, like water against rock. But that little account, it was my dam. I didn't know what I was going to do yet. I wasn't planning revenge. I wasn't trying to start a war. I was just remembering who I was before I let someone else decide what I was worth. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't scared. I was steady. I was watching, and soon I'd be ready. It started as a random scroll at 2 a.m. I wasn't even looking for houses. I was just escaping. You know that kind of scrolling where you're not looking for anything but also looking for something. And there it was, a small listing, 2-bedroom, modest kitchen, a porch with chipped white paint. But the light in the photos, it looked like peace. I clicked, then clicked again. The mortgage calculator popped up. I entered my numbers, just me. It was close, too close to be a fantasy, just far enough to feel like a dare. That week, I started running the math like it was my full-time job. I reworked my freelance schedule. I cut every unnecessary expense, and I emailed the agent. No husband, no co-signer, no mention of we, just me. I visited the house alone. The second I stepped inside, I knew. Not because it was perfect, it wasn't, but because it was mine before it even was. The floors creaked, the windows stuck, but it didn't feel like risk. It felt like return. The agent asked, "Will your husband be joining us for the final walkthrough?" And I said, "No, this one's just for me." She smiled, like she knew exactly what that meant. When the papers came in, I sat in silence. My hand was literally shaking, not from fear, from release. All those nights feeling invisible, all those dinners being spoken over, all those decisions made without me. This signature, it wasn't just ink, it was volume. I was loud again, even if no one else could hear it yet. I didn't tell anyone. Not him, not my friends, not even my mom. Because sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can do is keep something just for herself. I moved slow, planned everything, new locks, new furniture, a single wine glass in the kitchen window, and one drawer empty for whatever came next. I didn't know when or how I'd tell him, but I knew this. When someone makes you feel small long enough, eventually you stop asking for space and you start building it. And I built mine. One brick, one wire transfer, one whispered, "You can do this," at a time. No one knew. Not my husband, not my friends, not even the woman I always vented to at work. Because this wasn't a story I wanted to tell. This was a move I needed to make, quietly, deliberately. The day I signed the papers, I didn't pop champagne. I didn't cry. I didn't post a single thing. I just sat in my car, keys in my hand, heart pounding like I'd just pulled off the perfect heist. Because in a way, I had. I stole back my autonomy. The house wasn't big, it wasn't trendy, but it was mine, entirely mine. Every corner whispered, "You did this, no one helped you. No one can take it away." I spent the next few days preparing the space, painted one wall a deep navy just because I liked it, bought a couch that wouldn't clash with his aesthetic, hung up a mirror, just one, right by the front door, so I could always see myself walking in. I wasn't planning to move in right away, not yet. This house wasn't my escape plan, it was my proof that I wasn't helpless, that my play money could buy peace, that I could exist fully outside of him. Sometimes I'd sneak over during my lunch break, just to sit on the floor and breathe. It became my sanctuary. No noise, no corrections, no one telling me what made sense or what was smart. Just me, and the sound of something I hadn't heard in a long time. My own decisions echoing back at me, and the wildest part? I didn't feel guilty, not for a second, Because after years of having everything questioned, explained, or dismissed, doing something just for me didn't feel selfish. It felt sacred. I didn't know how I'd tell him, but I knew this. One day he'd find out. And when he did, I wanted him to understand one thing. This wasn't about revenge. This was about value. And I finally knew mine. I waited for the right moment. Not out of fear, but precision. Because some things deserve silence, and some deserve timing. We were sitting at the kitchen table. It was a normal Tuesday. He was scrolling through his phone, asking me if I remembered to pick up almond milk. I slid a small envelope across the table. He didn't look up. "What's this?" "Open it," I said. He pulled out the deed. His eyes scanned the page once, then twice. The silence hit before the confusion did. "Wait, what is this?" "It's a house. I bought it." He blinked. "We're buying a house?" "No," I said calmly. "I did, on my own." He laughed. That awkward, uncomfortable kind that tries to pretend something isn't real. "Why would you do that without telling me?" I looked him dead in the eye. "Because when I tried to tell you about money, you laughed. When I tried to make decisions, you overrode them. You said my paycheck was play money, remember?" And just like that, the room went still. He tried to backpedal. "That was a joke." "No, it was a message, and I heard it loud and clear." He sat there, stunned, not angry, not yelling, just quiet. Because deep down, he knew this wasn't about the house. It was about everything before it. Every, "Don't worry, I've got it." Every, "That's not a big deal." Every decision made without me. Now, I had made one without him, and it was louder than any argument we'd ever had. He asked, "So what? This is yours? Just yours?" "Yes," I said, "and I'm not asking you to move. I'm just letting you know that now I can." His silence said more than his words ever could. And mine said, "You don't get to shrink me and still be surprised when I grow without you." After that night, something shifted. Not loud, not dramatic, just different. He didn't yell. He didn't leave. He just started watching me like he didn't recognize who I was anymore. And maybe he didn't, because the version of me he'd gotten used to, the quiet one, the agreeable one, the one who always said, "Whatever you think is best," she was gone. And in her place, someone who remembered her worth. I didn't start arguments. I didn't rub the house in his face. But I did stop explaining myself. I opened my own accounts, not secretly this time. I reviewed every shared document we had. I scheduled a meeting with a financial advisor, and when he asked if he should come, I simply said, "Only if you plan on listening." And that's what hurt him more than anything. Not the house, not the money, but the fact that I no longer needed him to approve of any of it. He tried to get soft again, tried to joke, flirt, re-establish the version of us he was comfortable with, but I wasn't angry. I was done. There's a difference. Because when a woman stops begging to be seen, she becomes a mirror. And sometimes men don't like what they finally have to look at. He told his family about the house. Eventually, framed it like a surprise I pulled without talking to him. His mother called me impulsive. His brother laughed and said, "Damn, man, she really did that." And I didn't defend myself, because I didn't owe them the backstory. I owed myself the silence I never had. Now, he still sleeps next to me, but he knows. He knows that everything he thought was secure wasn't, that the woman he underestimated planned, and that the girl with the play money owns the foundation he now walks on. And the most powerful part? I never raised my voice. I just raised the bar. If you're watching this hoping I'm going to say I left him, I didn't. At least not yet. And maybe that surprises you. But here's the truth. Not every story ends in walking away. Some end in waking up. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't revenge, it's clarity. It's choosing to see exactly how small someone tried to make you feel, and deciding you'll never fit inside that version of yourself again. I used to think love meant sacrifice, that real relationships required silence, compromise, and letting someone else lead, especially with money, especially if they earned more. But what no one tells you is that there's a difference between being taken care of and being controlled. What no one tells you is that you can lose yourself in a marriage one choice at a time, by handing over passwords, by saying, sure, whatever you think is best, by letting someone else's confidence become the map for both of your futures. Until one day you look around and realize there's no trace of your name on anything you helped build. So no, I didn't burn the house down. I didn't scream. I didn't post a revenge story. I just built something quietly with my own hands, because sometimes the best I told you so is a deed with only your name on it. And if I could tell any woman watching this one thing, it would be this. You don't need to prove your value to anyone who benefits from you forgetting it. Your job matters, your paycheck matters, your instincts matter. If they laugh at your contribution, stop explaining, start investing in yourself. Emotionally, financially, spiritually, even if it's $20 at a time, even if it's just a key in your pocket no one knows about yet. Because the most dangerous kind of power is the kind no one sees coming. And the strongest version of you? She's not loud, she's not bitter, she's clear about her worth, clear about her limits, clear about what she will and won't tolerate again. So no, this isn't a breakup story, it's a reclamation story. And it starts the moment you stop asking permission to take up space.